Hey guys, now I am with Gareth, the rugby referee. He is the go-to guy that I go to find out anything that I don't have a clue about Rugby Union, especially. Now, the Rugby Union season is about to start again in the Premiership and all the levels below. And there are some law changes coming. So Gareth is going to run me through what they are, and I will give my opinion if I think they're good or bad, or if I have no idea what you're talking about. Gareth, you are leading this. Off you go, my friend.
Oh, evening, Rob. Thanks for having me along again. The main, you have to excuse me, I keep running my nose. I've got a cold. The main law changes that are coming up this year have been instigated by World Rugby in the run-up to the next World Cup. So we're now in what's called a World Cup cycle, because we've had a World Cup, we've now had a Lions Tour, and now all the unions around the world have put the 2 pence worth in, and they've decided they want to make some changes to the laws, but they're going to do what are called law trials. So these laws will be in this season, then at the end of the season, they'll be evaluated and decided whether we carry them forward as proper laws that will stay in the book forever and ever, amen, or whether they just get rid of and we go back to what we had before, if that
So
makes sense.
are they doing these laws at all levels, as in
At all
Premiership
levels.
down?
Yeah, a Premiership all the way down to the lowest level community rugby.
Have they tried any of these laws lower down to start off with at the amateur level, and now thought, okay, well, we'll try it on a bigger scale?
I can't say for this country. I think New Zealand have done it because their season
Possibly the
is
odd
out of
country.
kilter
Okay.
with ours. I
Okay.
believe New Zealand have been doing it for some time, and I think South Africa as well. And the feedback has been pretty good. So now, obviously, it's the Northern Hemisphere's turn because our season is slightly out of kilter with the Southern Hemisphere.
It's interesting, if I can make the comparison with football as a football referee. It's interesting to hear that they are doing trials on a full scale rather than in football where it is the amateur lower leagues that get the trials and then they see if it works. And then maybe if we're lucky we might get the Premier League and the rest starting. So it's interesting that the Rugby Union governing bodies are pretty brave to say, okay, well, we're going to try this with everyone. I think that's pretty good to hear.
Well, the idea is when it creates a level playing field, there's no, well, this level it's happening, this level it's not. It's going to happen across the board. It will be in the law book, and the law book applies to everybody who plays rugby. There's also a couple of laws that are coming for under 18s, which I'll cover briefly later on. But the main one that people are going to recognise this year is the goal line dropout. And what World Rugby have said is if the ball is held up in goal, so Team A are playing Team B, Team A get across the try line, but Team B hold them up. They don't ground the ball. And what would normally happen is it will be brought back for a scrum 5 metres out, and Team A will put the ball in. What they said now is we're not going to do that. We're not going to have these. We need to do away with needless scrums.
I assume it's a time thing here. For that, it's the time it takes to create the scrum. With all the other stoppages, you almost want more of a free-flowing game. I assume that's more for the audience. I may be wrong, but that would be my outside opinion.
Yeah, I would say you're on the right lines. Yeah, wanting to make it better to watch. We're not going to have to keep forming a scrum up, calling a scrum. The scrum goes down, we have to reset it, we give a penalty, we end up with a kick at goal, X, Y, Z. So we're creating, hopefully, a faster, more free-flowing game.
It makes sense.
There's also a player welfare point in that we're reducing the number of scrums, we're reducing the number of contacts. So there is also potentially that as well. But if we take 10, 20 scrums out of a game, while I love the scrum is very dear to my heart, I don't like it when some teams use the scrum as a weapon to score points, knowing they have a dominant scrum over the opposition. They're trying to use that to just basically get 3 points. So by removing the scrum to a goal line dropout, we're speeding the game up and taking away what essentially is a needless scrum. Yeah. So what will happen now is Team B will get the ball, but they will kick the ball from their own try line. Now, they can kick it from anywhere on that try line. Some people have said to me already, does it have to be from under the post? No, it doesn't. It can be anywhere along the try line. As long as the ball goes 5 metres, that is a successful dropout.
Okay.
And any player can kick the ball. It doesn't have to be player 15, for instance. Anyone can kick the ball.
So as an outsider, I say an outsider, I'm slowly becoming an insider, slowly. But I would say... I would say that's a good one. It's a sensible one. It seems one. I probably shouldn't use the words, but common sense to speed things up. That would be my main thought. Like I said, it's interesting that you're looking on the you had the thought of safety wise, injuries, head injuries, and things. But even if you're just looking at the time scale. When we watched the Lions tour, for example, I think there was about 14. I may be slightly off on the times, but I think there was about 14 minutes of actual game time, and about 35, 40 minutes of actual clock time, if that makes sense. And if you can, and that's a lot of dead time.
Yeah, a while ago, someone took an average of rugby league over a season. Worked it out that the ball's in play for 71 minutes out of the 80. And in a game of Rugby Union, it was 47 minutes out of 80.
I think they did something similar with football, and it was about 60, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, football obviously is more constant than rugby.
Yeah.
I mean, Union's always been known as being a slower game, but personally, for me, again, I like this idea. It's speeding the game up. We're doing away without something that I think it'll stay. We'll see at the end of the season. I think broadly it's gone down well across the board, so I think it's one that will stay.
Okay, there's the first one. In the comments, if you're watching this, what do you think about that law change? Yes, no? What do you think? Let us know in the comments. Next one, Gareth.
Also, I was going to say in the comments, if anyone wants to put any game-specific scenarios in, just put them in. I'll do my best to answer them. I do have.
He'll be watching.
This is the paper from the RFU via my society. So I have got the chapter and verse on game scenarios. So put them in the comments, because I'll be here till Christmas if I try and explain them all in a video. So the next one is the 50-22. Now, Rob, I think you watched a bit of rugby league, so you might have heard of the 40-20 in rugby league.
Possibly.
It's where
just because I watch it doesn't mean it's going in.
The 50-22. Now, this is where if you kick the ball from your own half and it goes indirectly into touch, so it hits the floor first, bounces into touch beyond the opponent's 22-metre yard line. Sorry, can't remember we do yards in Union.
Close enough. Same thing, roughly.
Close enough. It will be your line out, so you will get a line out. So basically, what we're saying is we're promoting attacking kicking. It's just trying to stop teams getting bogged down in midfield and offer them an option to create space by giving them a chance if they
if they kick for territory and the ball bounces in the defending try area and then bounces sideways out or just straight.
Yeah. Not quite. Between the try line and the 22. So you got the try line.
Yeah.
Then you got the 22 bit further up. It can't go beyond the try line, or that would be scrum back.
Okay.
It would be a scrum back where he kicked it. If it goes into touch beyond that 22-metre line, but before the try line, you will get the line out where it goes out into touch.
Very straightforward.
It has to touch before first.
Okay.
The one thing you can't do is if you're beyond the halfway line, you can't just pass it back and then kick it. You have to be in your own half when you get the ball.
Yeah.
So you can't just pass it back and then kick it. You've got to physically receive the ball in your own half.
I got you. Yeah. That makes sense. So, that trying to promote attacking play, which is almost what you want. You want to see tries scored, and granted, you've got to pull it off. As a kicker, you've got to actually do it first. It's easier. It's easy saying, you can do this, but you've actually got to have the ability to do it. So I'm sure it's not necessarily a simple thing. If I think anything that allows for attacking play and scores, tries to be scored, has to be a good thing, because that is what. This is another thing with these laws. Are they looking at the game, or are they thinking of the spectators, the people watching?
I think both. I think both. I think we're trying to create a faster game and doing away with games where I mean, unfortunately, in the UK, we know our winters are wet and cold. The game will become slower because when the ball gets heavy, it's very easy to. And I'm going back to my playing days. It's very easy to lie in a ruck and have a bit of a rest when it's -3 and it's howling down with rain, and you're caked in mud for the 30th time in the game. But by giving this option to get rid of the ball, but gain a result at the end of it from a positive kick, rather than just hoofing it to the other fullback, hoping he'll hoof it back, you're giving them an option to create an attacking chance. I've done 3 pre-season games, and I'm actually yet to see any team try it at community level.
Do they know about it though?
At one game, because I wasn't sure myself, because I'd only just come back.
That's always the way at the start of the football season. If they brought out a new law, it's like, hang on, are they allowed to do that?
Yeah. And we hadn't had the brief yet. I just said to the team, look, we'll do away with the 50-22 because I don't have touch judges and I'm not sure myself. And they agreed, because you got to remember, a lot of people now have not played rugby for 18 months. I mean, coming on 2 years since some people even set foot on a rugby pitch. It's been a long layoff for players, for coaches, for referees, and COVID is still lingering about. You know, some people don't want to come back yet, and that's quite understandable. So across the board, there is a lot of fatigue, a lot of ring rust, if you like, a lot of getting your head back round rugby in general. So for that particular game, I said, look, we're not doing the 50-22 because even I wasn't sure myself. But I then got up to speed. We had our society meeting and we got up to speed. We got the briefing from the RFU via World Rugby via the RFU via our society. So you're then a bit more sure. And it's just nice to get some miles back in the legs.
So on that law change, I suppose I like it. It's another one. As I said, it's when you're watching rugby, and now I know what it feels like, especially because I like rugby league and I like rugby union. I like the speed of rugby league, and so and one thing I don't like about union is that you could literally be watching the screen and nothing's happening because they're setting up a ruck and all that sort of stuff. So anything, once again, to speed things up, to have more game time in an attacking position, that's the main thing. I think it's a good thing. I like it. I don't know about you. Again, in the comments, join in the conversation.
My only reservation is at community level. You've got to remember you don't have a properly appointed touch judge or you've got someone running the line. So you're going to have to be, refs are going to have to be eagle-eyed at community level on watching where the ball's gone out. Again, if anyone wants to put any game scenarios to me, put in the comments. I'll do my best to answer. Like I say always, I don't always get it right, but I will always give you the best answer I can do.
Gareth, you're a referee, man. We always get it right, okay? Referees always get it right, okay? Don't.
As I say in the law book, the referee is a sole judge of fact and law, so therefore can't be wrong.
Exactly. Don't let any players think otherwise, my friend. All right, there's number 2. Can we have number 3?
Number 3, the one that has caused a bit of consternation because it's actually been in the law book for quite some time. It's just never been properly enforced, and it's what's called the flying wedge. This is where a ball carrier is carrying the ball and 2 players latch onto that player and form a wedge shape. And it's actually been illegal for quite some time. It just will be enforced this year as an illegal move. It's actually dangerous. It's dangerous to the ball carrier and it's dangerous for anyone trying to tackle them.
So almost literally grabbed around their hips sort of thing, but two players
No,
do.
imagine where you're sat now, and imagine two players either side of you grab hold of you and propel you towards another player. So you're at the front of it carrying the ball. So you're like a triangle shape.
Okay, not pulling backwards, but pushing forwards.
Pushing you forward, yeah.
Okay, I had in my head almost the thought of them like, I'm trying to think, a really fast runner. Maybe Cheslin Colbo something running so fast, and you've got these players leaping to try and hold on to him, and he just keeps running, their arms stretching. That sort of image. But no, it's more of the actual forcing forwards. Okay.
Yeah, it mainly happens when you got a tap penalty. The ball carrier will tap it, start running towards the opposition, and then you get two of his mates joining behind him. So they're almost like pre-forming a maul in a way. But you've now got a guy at the front of that who is exposed, and someone tries to tackle him. They're not just tackling one player, they're trying to effectively tackle three. And it is dangerous. I've seen some injuries from it over the years. And it's one of them, it's been in the law book, but it's never really been properly... It's been kind of lip service has been paid to it. So they are saying this year, big no-no, it ain't happening. We're not doing it.
I wonder why is it something that's not really been enforced?
I would imagine it's down the lines of crooked feeds at the scrums. Only the good Lord himself knows. Because I know one thing, when I'm on the pitch, it goes in blooming straight.
Can I just say, why is your kid wiring his hood up? Is it raining inside?
I don't know, you'll have to ask him.
Tell him to take his hood down. Take your hood down and get out of my video. So if we're talking about that third one, then it's about safety. That I assume that's the main thing, and it's not necessarily law change, but it is in making sure the referees are enforcing the law.
Yeah,
so it's bringing it more, making it more aware, and players should know about it. I suppose I can't say that it's a bad one, can I? Really, because if it is there for safety, how can you disagree with it if it is causing injuries and it is making the game unsafe?
It is something, like I say, that has just been lip service, have been paid to it for quite a number of years. Some referees will jump on it. I'm probably one of them. I will admit I've nailed people for flying wedge. Others have let it slide. Now they're saying it ain't happening across the board.
It's I suppose if it's one of those things that is just sometimes isn't enforced. It's almost like football in the sense of there are rules and laws that you, as a referee, you just don't enforce. And I don't know why. And off the top of my head, I can't even think now. Things like obstruction, right? How often does a referee enforce a law of obstruction in football? Next to never. Or even I suppose even shirt pulling, quite often doesn't get punished. So I suppose, as I said, it's thinking of the health and safety of players. It can only be a good thing. Once again, down below, let us know, what do you think? Have you seen a tackle like that and thought, oh, that's not pleasant? If you have, let us know. And as I said, Gareth will be watching. He'll be watching those comments for all those nice comments about him. Okay, all right. He will be interested. He'll be interested to see how many you can answer for him. There's 3. Any more?
And then the last 2 mainly apply to players under 18.
Okay.
And this is just an under 18 law that's come in. For what they've done at under 18 level is they've reduced the tackle height. So before, you used to be allowed to tackle here.
Sort of shoulder level, now, isn't it?
What's saying now is it's coming down to here, to nipple height.
Chest level-ish, or below chest.
Yeah, chest and below. Again, it's promoting zero contact with the head and neck. Particularly players under 18, you've got to think they're developing, softer bones. We don't want anyone under 18 getting a serious injury when they're in their formative years. So we're reducing the tackle height.
As a first thought, if they are doing that for under 18 level, is that something that's potentially then going to come in at over, senior level? Because just
They
as a
have
thought,
they trialled it for a season just below the Premiership, and it wasn't popular.
I can understand. I can understand why. With some of the red cards, for example, in the Six Nations, that were borderline-ish, and not actually intentional and not on purpose. You can understand if they lower that even more, then it's going to be tricky for players. There's going to be even more red cards. I know we've talked about this.
There's also there's apparently been an increase in head and neck injuries as well since they reduced the tackle height.
Really?
Now, this is under 18 level. I can see what they're trying to do. They're trying to get away from what's happened over the years in Rugby Union is a lot of Rugby Union sides have brought Rugby League coaches into coach defence, because in Rugby League you have to have good defence.
Mm-hmm.
In League, the tackle has always been quite high because you go for the ball, because you try and stop them offloading the ball.
Yeah.
So I think in League, possession is everything, because you've only got your 5 tackles.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of them have sort of coach union players start going higher and going for the ball. And that's caused a lot of players to hit the ball and start coming up here. And then from there, you've started them with the old swinging arms, which is a Rugby League fascination for going Adrian Morley-esque around the neck.
Oh, Matt, I've the league games I've watched, as I said, I absolutely love league. But the amount of challenges you're thinking, that literally they get wrapped around and you think, Jesus, from starting to watch Union and then going to league, you think, how the hell are they getting away with that? You've literally just wiped the guy out. So if you're saying, for example, a lot of league coaches are coming over to Union, and that is what they know, that is what is their bread and butter, if that's the right saying, that's what they do.
Well, you've got to think for years, like Wales had Sean Edwards, very, very famous, tough rugby league player. England, then Ireland, have had Andy Farrell, again, an absolute monster at rugby league. Sale Sharks have Mike Forshaw, again, a phenomenal rugby league player. I think England now have got Martin Gleeson, who was a top rugby league player for many years. And they're coaching defence. And like I say, in league, it's all about defence is everything, because, it is a quicker game. So a lot of sort of tackling techniques in Union have come from league. So I think what Union are looking at is going back to the days of when you went down here and sort of hit the chest and hit the stomach. But
I don't know if I have. So on this one, I had an opinion on the other ones. Don't think I've got an opinion on this one if I think it's good or bad.
Yeah, and the other one they brought in as well, relating to hands in the face, is what we call. Have you heard of the handoff? Where you can hand a player off. They're saying now there's no handoffs to the face, which is
because you see a lot of handoffs in rugby league, I think.
Yeah, you see a lot of handoffs in Union as well. For years, they used to say it was okay to hand off to the face. Now they're saying, no, you're going to have to hand off down here.
I think that one makes sense. Is that just for 18s or is that senior as well?
That's 18s. Again, it's promoting the zero head and neck contact. And to be honest, I've never been a fan of handoffs in the face, because it's very easy when someone's going like that to suddenly go like that.
It's very quick, easy to get into eyes and things. So as I said, I haven't really got an opinion on the chest, lower than the chest tackles. I certainly think it's a good idea to not allow handoffs to the face, because I think quite often you can add a lot of force as well to that. And then you think, well, is that much different to doing that? I'm not sure, because it's easy to get that force without looking like you're giving a lot of force. What's your opinion on the tackles chest or below chest?
Personally, I think it's a good idea for younger players who want to promote good tackle techniques. I think it's encouraging them to start the tackle lower, and if you do it at a lower level, they're then going to take that through their sort of what I call 2-year apprenticeship of being a colt into open age rugby and start tackling lower, because there's nothing worse that I've found is where you get a player who's sort of at 18, start to play a bit of 13 rugby on a Saturday, and because they've been a very good call, their ego can be a little bit bigger, and they go in for a tackle on someone who's in the late 30s, early 40s, who's been it, seen it, done it, hit them a little bit high, and then their blood runs cold when the bloke goes, "You're in for a tough afternoon, sunshine," and you as a referee go, "Uh-oh."
That's all we need. That's all we need. It's gonna, yeah.
Yeah. So I think it would teach them to tackle lower earlier. I've been saying it for years that if you tackle in the chest and the stomach, like I used to when I was playing, you take the air out of the lungs anyway, so they're not going to go very far if you hit them hard enough. And you can hit them as hard as you want down there without causing much damage. We don't want tackles up here because it doesn't matter wherever you are. You've only got one neck, and I think
you've persuaded me. I think it's a good idea. And actually, as I said, just as you started talking about that new change, I think it would be almost a sign that in the future, as more kids are becoming adults, they may then end up changing the actual senior law to be below chest as well. But getting more youngsters to play like that, and therefore they'll be more ready for it when it comes in. It may be a bit too much of a shock for seniors at the moment, as it was a bit of a shock. That would be my thought.
You've got a lot of old and bold players out there now. If you suddenly start dropping the tackle high to adult level, it will just be a complete culture shock to them.
Yeah.
I think this is one that will take 3 or 4 years, probably even 5 or 6 to come in, and possibly even past the end of my refereeing career before we see it across the board.
I think by the way that you've described it, and just by my initial thoughts of how Rugby Union especially is looking at safety so much at the moment, I think that possibly is the way it will go. But there's five different law changes / one that's more in your face being enforced. Let us know in the comments below, what do you make of them? There's 5 there. What do you make of them? Are they good? Are they bad? Do you think they will stick around? That's the main thing. Will they stay around and will they latch on? Gareth, thank you so much for explaining them. And actually, I'm amazed I understood everything after a little bit of clarification on a couple of them.
We're getting there.
I understand all of the law changes. Thank you so much again for your time. Like I said, if in those comments, Gareth, I'm sure he'll be watching because he wants to see what everyone says. Make sure you spread the word. Thank you for watching again. Like and subscribe, and I will catch you next time.